YouTube, hope you guys are doing well. Raj from the UK here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of an eau de parfum from the house of Serge Lutens, and it is Ambre Sultan. Serge Lutens is slowly but surely becoming one of my favourite fragrance houses. I now have 3 in my collection, and Ambre Sultan is my favourite of all of them. This discussion, this review is not supposed to add anything more to the discussion on this, really, not too much more. There's been some reviews out there by some big name reviewers, but this is just more about bringing the fragrance back into the limelight, and just really talking about a fragrance which is one of my favourites. The fragrance came out in 1993 and was created by Christopher Sheldrake, and in terms of notes, it's really a powerhouse fragrance for me. You get coriander, amber, oregano and bay leaf. I couldn't find the note pyramid, so this is just a list of notes. You've got myrtle, angelica root, sandalwood, patchouli, benzoin and vanilla. So in terms of the packaging, what I'm going to do now is something a little bit different to my videos. I'm going to try it out, see how it works. I've just stolen the idea from other reviewers, to be honest, but here is a closer look at the packaging. Okay, so here's the packaging, the box, very simple, nice black trim around the edge there. The front, Serge Lutens, Ambre Sultan. You now have the initials, LS. I don't know why it's LS, it should be SL, shouldn't it? Anyway, that used to be the Palais Royal over there, which was the shop in Paris. And this tells you it's an eau de parfum, 50 ml. Nice box, very sleek, just like the bottle. It originally comes with this screw top for a splash version, and again you've got the Serge Lutens there, Ambre Sultan. The juice looks fantastic, nectar, amber nectar, sleek bottle, kind of looks like an old style mobile phone, kind of. It's a great design, French elegance, sleek, stylish, love it. Okay, so you've had a look at the packaging now, and let's just get into my thoughts of this incredible fragrance. When you first spray it on, it's a blast. It's a really strong fragrance. I get notes of patchouli in there, but patchouli actually doesn't dominate this fragrance. It makes it very earthy. What is really dominating is the spice. The spice actually is the biggest player for me excuse me, in this fragrance. I get oregano and bay leaf straight away. These are the 2 most obvious spices to me, and what it really reminds me of is a spice cupboard, but a spice cupboard which has maybe not been cleaned very well. You know, you've got some spices in there which have been spilled, and there's some spices not only in the jar but on the shelf as well. And you know, sometimes when you open up a cupboard which has lots of spices in it, and you get this thick waft of very dry spices, and that's exactly what I get in this fragrance. The oregano is very strong. It is literally like getting a jar and putting your nose into that jar of spices, very concentrated. The bay leaf in there is really good. I really like bay leaf. Sort of reminds me of, if anybody knows what bay rum is basically rum which has bay leaves, cinnamon sticks, pepper and all types of spices put in together and left in a jar to mature for a while. But imagine, instead of rum being in this jar with all these other spices, you have really thick honey. The honey isn't really too obvious in this fragrance, but I think it really, what the sweetness I'm getting, smells to me like honey, but I think it's also coming from the vanilla. It's really fantastic. This spiciness does start to die down a little bit on the skin, and this fragrance does actually become close to the skin, but not that close. It's still a strong fragrance, but it does after the first hour. You know, if you try this fragrance and you find the opening just too strong, stick with it. It will die down a little bit and become closer to the skin, and it really develops with the skin nicely. I think you can apply this all over the body. Fragrance normally doesn't last too long on my wrist, but this lasts the whole day. After a while now, you're going to start to experience, well, I experienced two notes here which really stood out. The amber, which came through. Amber is, for me, is a very difficult scent to describe. You know it when you smell it. It's resinous. It's almost powdery in some aspects, and it's just absolutely fantastic. It doesn't dominate the spice in here, but it's in there on a nice balance. After in the dry down now, I'm starting to come across a bit of sandalwood, and the vanilla is still slightly in there, but it's a very smooth sandalwood. I couldn't say where it's from. It feels like it's Indian sandalwood, although I couldn't be too 100% sure. In terms of imagery of this fragrance, Serge Lutens actually now lives in Morocco. So he's had a lot of experience, or inspiration I should say actually, from Morocco, and it does feel like you're at a cafe in Morocco in the shade. You're maybe sitting there with a bit of some tea, maybe a mint tea, and you've got the spice market in the distance, and the aroma is being drifted towards you, is wafted towards you from the wind. And that's really what I get from this fragrance. I think it's absolutely superb. I love it. I really do love it. If you haven't tried anything from Serge Lutens, why not? Go out and try this. I think in terms of niche fragrances, this is a little bit more accessible. A 50 ml bottle, depends where you shop, but I've seen it online for around 58 to 60 pounds. Full retail, you're probably going to pay around, 70, 80, depending what fragrance it is. So it's not ridiculous in terms of prices, and a little bit more accessible than other niche brands. It lasts a very long time, this fragrance, works perfect in the winter, and actually we've had a few hot days here in the UK actually. It's been going up to about 32 degrees Celsius, and I've tried this in the summer, and you want to go easy on the trigger, but it does work. It can become a little bit too much, a little bit choking, a bit suffocating if you spray it a bit too much, but maybe in the summer evening, you may be surprised at how well this one works. In terms of alternatives to this fragrance, if you're looking for a much more thicker amber with a stronger maybe incense in there, more expensive actually as well, go for Tom Ford's Amber Absolute. If you're thinking, I like the amber but I don't want it to be too strong, I prefer the spices a little bit more, maybe go for Le de Désert Marocain by Andy Tower. That's got a heavier cumin note in there. Or you could try out Wazamba, which is a better value fragrance than this one, still expensive, but Wazamba by Parfum d'Empire, that's a great option as well. I think probably the best value or the cheapest alternative I'm going to mention up to now is a fragrance which I came across recently, which I have a feeling I'm going to add to my collection soon, and that is Amber by L'Occitane. L'Occitane is a great house, one of my favourites. You know that guy, you guys know that already if you've seen my collection video and a couple of other videos as well. So that's my take on Ambre Sultan by Serge Lutens. A brilliant fragrance. I'm going to give this a rating of 9.5. I can't give it 10 because I think sometimes the spice element in this can become a little bit too much to handle, slightly. I'm being very critical here, probably overcritical. A great unisex fragrance, leaning towards the masculine side for me, but if you're daring enough as a lady, as a woman, definitely try and pull this off. I think you probably could. Thanks for watching guys, and see you next time.